Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury.
I get in line after I get off the bus down below to get my credential. I turn around. It's John Sauber. John, great. It's great to talk with you again.
Nice talking to you too, Steve.
Well, you get out to Indianapolis. First of all, it was great to see you out there covering it. So what was your impression in covering this, especially on a day-by-day basis as you watched it play out?
Yeah, so this was the second Big Ten tournament that I've covered back in, well, third actually. The second was the middle one that got canceled right at the beginning there, but I was there for that. The Fred Hoiberg notoriously, being sick on the
Yes.
sidelines that game. Sat right behind him. Didn't feel great about that. But no, this is one of my favorite events to cover just because it's nonstop basketball, especially that second and third day when you have 4 games throughout the day. You just go. I got there at noon, watched all day, and then just enjoyed myself. And it was kind of nice that Penn State was that last game because I'm a night owl anyway, so I was sort of peaking at the perfect time for all that.
And Penn State, the way they played it and the way Micah Shrewsbury coached it, what did you think?
I thought this was, on some level, exactly what we thought Penn State would be when they were out there. I sort of said that I thought they could make it to Friday. That was my, if you want to call it an official prediction for that. But them playing Purdue as well as they did is sort of exactly what we've seen all year from this team. And it's a reason I think Penn State fans should be excited about the future. There were very few games that they were out of. Purdue, we'll see them play Yale today. I think they're one of the best 10 teams in the country. They have the best athlete in college basketball in Jaden Ivey, who is also one of the 3 to 5 best players in all of college basketball. And Penn State went blow for blow with them, even fell behind and still fought back in it. Usually that's the kind of game, right, where it's the number 11 seed in the tournament, the number 3 seed, the 11 falls down and suddenly that's it, they collapse. But they didn't. And that's been the case all year with Penn State. They've generally fought back in almost every game. They fought close with good teams. Their talent level is on the same level as the top teams in the Big Ten, but I think it's pretty clear that the coaching is at that level, and that is, like I said, plenty of reason for Penn State fans to be excited.
His ability to identify matchups, his ability to look at his talent and say this is the best way to win, those are several of the elements that just really impress me about him. And not only that, I think, he gets into a press conference and he sits down with you guys in the press room. What are your thoughts on how he handles that part of it? He
is one of the most genuine people one of the most genuine people I've ever talked to.
Yep.
He kind of doesn't have it in him to sort of feed the company line, if you will. You know what I mean? Like he's not trying to hide things. He's not, he's just being upfront and he's telling you what he's feeling. He's telling you why he's feeling it. He gives good long answers too, right? There are very few short answers that he gives. He's always thoughtful with it, and you can tell he puts a real time in those situations. And I think that's a positive for the program. You can sort of get inside the mind of the head coach, and that's what I think a lot of fans want. They want to know how he's feeling. They want to know what he's seeing. And if you ask sort of a base level question, he'll answer it well. If you ask an in-depth X and O's question, he'll answer it well. He is versatile in that way that he always seems to have a good response to things. And personally, he's pretty witty too, which I enjoy, and a lot of self-deprecation there, which is also, I like to think, a strong suit of mine. So I respect that.
All right. So now, since that happened, this now gets to be the interesting time of the year in terms of player personnel, because the transfer portal freely exists. And usually, it's been like this in college basketball, as you know, John, for a long time, years and years, where it could be 700, 800, 900 players transferring. The difference is that you can do it without sitting out. So Sam Sessoms is the first. What was your thought on that?
I wasn't overly surprised, right? Sam didn't have as major of a role at Penn State as he did at Binghamton. And I think you could see that the fit with the sort of the way they want to play wasn't perfect with Sam, because they play slow, and that tends to lean to his strengths, but they also don't want to turn the ball over much, and he does make risky passes. And to his credit, he kept attacking the rim this year, even though he couldn't buy a foul call.
Right.
Watching that kid get hacked under the rim over and over again and getting it, seeing it go uncalled was one of the more interesting things to monitor, because you kind of knew it was coming when he would attack the rim. But I think it's definitely a loss if there's no replacement. And I am operating under the assumption that there will be some level of replacement, of course.
Yeah.
The freshman coming in will help that. But getting a guard in the portal that can run the offense, because Sessoms was essentially 50% of the team's ball handling because the other 50% was Jalen Pickett. And Pickett was awesome to end the year, but they were already asking 40 minutes a game basically from him all season. And I think you really don't want to go into next year asking for 40 minutes and he has to control the ball the entire time. I think he would do it. I don't know how well it would work out there down the stretch when he's playing that much of a workload, although he was peaking at the right time this year. So
right.
I do think they're going to need to replace Sessom's ball handling more than anything. And he was another guy. He was just as honest as could be, and I always appreciated that about Sam and had a lot of respect for him because of it.
So now you watched the full season of Jalen Pickett. What do you think of him on this level?
He is, I expected him to be Penn State's best player this year. I did not expect him to be this good, especially at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. He's so calm and under control. I always compare him to Kyle Anderson of the Memphis Grizzlies, and if you remember Boris Diaw, of course, with the Spurs, and guys like that are playing at their own pace. They're catching you off guard. Pickett has this one move that I always sort of point out, and the advantage of his pace and how slow he is, I guess, is that he'll be driving to his right, and the defender will take a step to the defender's left, expecting Pickett to be there next. But because he's so methodical, he has the time to process that, spin back to his right, and he always gets that little lefty layup there. But it's just one of those things, right? You watch him play, and you don't know how the pace is going to work out at this level, and then you see it, and there's no reason to believe he won't keep getting even better with it as he gets used to the Big Ten. I thought he was the most impressive player on the roster this year, and I know there were a couple guys that looked really good compared to what we sort of expected, but Pickett, to me, was the most impressive.
Give you a chance now for your tribute to what you watched with John Harrar in his career in this year.
Yeah, John is one excellent first name, as you know.
Some people will tell you it's the best. But it's a matter of opinion, John.
Yeah, exactly. But he was the heart and soul of this team, as everyone knows, for a long time. But seeing the effort he put in this year, I'll never forget the rebound against Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament. I was sitting about 30 feet away, watching 4 Ohio State defenders go up for the rebound. You couldn't really see Harrar from where I was sitting, and seeing him come down with the ball and put it right back up to get 2 to essentially close out that game, that's sort of the epitome of who he was for this program. It's all effort, all the time, and this year he added some skill. They ran some offense through him in the high post. He doesn't have a ton of touch around the rim, but he's so big and physical and gets some of those easy points that way. And there aren't a lot of guys that you see sort of work that hard and work at that level for that long. And the fact that he came back on some level knowing that the NCAA tournament was a long shot, even though he desperately wanted to make it, he did it anyways because he fell in love with the place and, he fell in love with the program and everything about it. And he's one of those guys that you just have the utmost respect for because, frankly, I don't know that I could work that hard that long at anything. But he was, 120% all the time, and he would lift after games, which is like maniacal. You just played 30 minutes on the court, and now you're going to have a lift. I would be asleep within 15 minutes out of the locker room.
So now you've seen this play out 1 year. There's a process to it. You don't just hit a button and you're in the NCAA tournament. But what do you see right now based on what the foundation Micah Shrewsbury set that the future of Penn State basketball can be? I
think it's bright, right? Like as long as Shrewsbury's there, I think they have a chance to be in that tournament conversation. And with where the program was, I think that's sort of all you can ask for. Especially with the class he's bringing in, the 5 kids I think will all contribute down the line. It's a highly rated recruiting class for Penn State standards. I believe the highest rated in program history.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and he's bringing in the talent that will work in his offense, and that is highly important. And not to mention, of course, getting guys that are willing defenders and long athletic defenders will always help. But I've been saying, about next season specifically, the record may not be much different. They may be slightly better, but I think it's going to increase expectations on some level because they will be playing more youth. And I think they could still look even better, right? Like you could be seeing freshmen doing some of the things that seniors were doing this year, and that is promising. So, maybe not next year. The results aren't a massive step up, but the year after that, I think we could be looking at something where they're already in the NCAA tournament conversation because the guys they're bringing in, while they're really good, they're the kind of guys you make the tournament with as juniors and seniors, and less so as freshmen. But their sophomore year could be that opportunity where things sort of blend right. And if they hit the right portal additions, this could, even if they do that this year, right? You hit the right portal additions any year, you can take that big step forward.
John, great work as always. Absolute pleasure talking to you. Look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Steve. I appreciate it.